So the last part of activity 1 is to create, it's a CFM chart, but it's really just your whole HVAC chart. And I've given you a template to use. And so you just have to fill that out. So this, along the bottom, it tells you where you go to look for something or calculate it. And let's take a look. For each zone, now I've got it listed as zone 1, 2, and 3. You're going to have to put the right thing. You know, there's going to be lobby and admin and manufacturing. And this comes from what you just figured out. Okay, from that Revit report, max cooling in tons, air handlers. And then you have to figure out how much air has to blow. I've got an air handler and it's in tons. That doesn't make any sense in air. Air is measured in cubic feet per minute. But there's a kind of a standard. And you'll see from the report, let's go back to the report, that there's a thing called airflow per capacity. There's some airflow CFM, cubic feet per minute for every ton. So I can use that number right there, that which you can hardly see in this video, but it's called airflow capacity, some number, feet cubed per minute dash ton. And you would put that right in here. And then what is your total CFM? Well, it's CFM per ton times tons. If you have it for every ton, then you multiply by how many tons you've got. So CFM per ton times air handler tons. Okay, that one's just a very basic calculation. That tells us how many CFM. Now we have to start doing some guessing and some estimating. So I'm going to estimate how much CFM is going to come out of each one of those air terminals. That's those things up in the ceiling that the air comes out of. It's called a supply register or an air terminal. I don't know. So I have to get something. So it told me here, okay, use 500 CFM. Okay, I'm going to use 500 CFM. 500 CFM. Okay, and that's just something that an engineer is going to tell you. Well, what do I start with? Try 500. So you're going to get that from them. And that'll figure out how many terminals you need. How do you do that? If I've got, say, 500 CFM total with 500 per terminal, then I'm going to just need 1. 1,000 would need 2. 1,500 would need 3. Okay, it's total CFM divided by whatever my first guess was. That's how many terminals I need in that zone. And then I'm just doing a kind of a checkout. I want to see, I'm going to estimate some spacing, about 15 feet from every wall. And you're going to see where this comes from later on. I'm going to estimate about 15 feet from every wall and 30 feet in between each other. Where did I go? Here it is. So 15 feet between each wall and 30 feet between each other, except for my admin area. Then I'm just going to use 1 in every one of those spaces. Those don't really matter. Okay, so that's how you fill this one out. At that point, you've done activity 1. Okay, so that's how we get going with it. And at that point, you can see we've hit our goal. Preliminary HVAC design. We calculated the energy needs of the build out, and we figured out some certain sizing. What we've done so far. And these are estimates. It's preliminary. It might change. We took a guess. And you know that the way we lock in on a good design is we take a guess, we analyze the guess, we use that analysis to get a little bit closer with a new guess, and we keep going until we come up with something that really meets the requirements well. It's called the Newton-Raphson method, or guess and by golly. Okay, very, very powerful system for estimating and getting to an answer. And Sir Isaac Newton was one of the inventors, or he codified, he didn't really invent it, but he codified that process for use in calculus. Okay, so you're kind of doing calculus. There we go. That's your activity number 1. Hopefully that'll take you about 2 hours or less.